The following is brought to you by Vertical Vet. Rethink your GPO.
Let's see, we're just going to give it a few minutes to let some of our attendees join today. Those of you that are just coming on board, welcome. We're super excited to have Cassandra here for the second time coming up, right? I mean, you're becoming a fixture within our Vertical Vet webinars.
Thanks. I love doing them, so I'll be here as long as y'all will have me.
Oh, well, we love having you, so that's exciting.
It's even better because I'm not alone today.
Yeah.
Dragging other people along with me.
Here I am.
Let's see who we have coming on. Awesome. We got a couple coming on, some platinum members. Love seeing them on this. So I think just because we have a whole lot of material that we're going to cover today, Cassandra, that you and Brittany are going to cover, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
I'm really excited, you guys. Today we have kind of a semi part two, but really just a separate webinar where we're going to be talking about really diversifying your marketing toolkit. So I'm excited to have Cassandra Parsons here with Busy Sites, and I have her colleague Brittany, who's also going to be joining on today's conversation. This meeting is happening. This webinar is happening because of our wonderful partners at BI. So huge shout out to BI for making this possible. And of course, to you, Cassandra, and to Brittany, and to Busy Sites for being able to give us all of your valuable information. You know, this stuff is important for veterinary practices. It's important for practice managers and practice owners so that they're really understanding the benefits that are associated with marketing their practice, right? With being able to find the options that fit best with them. So really excited to have you guys on today. And without further ado, Cassandra, I'll go ahead and pass the floor on to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Megan. We'll see if I can multitask and talk and get my screen shared at the same time. I won't do to you guys what I've done in past webinars and fully talk for 10 minutes before realizing that I didn't have my screen shared at all. We are so excited to be here today. So as Megan mentioned, we did a part one last month that was kind of covering the foundational marketing things. This one today, we're talking about diversifying that a little more. So that's why we're talking about diversifying your toolkit of online marketing. As was mentioned, I'm especially excited because I'm not alone today. So I have my colleague Brittany here. Brittany is an account manager at Busy Sites, and she also manages the Busy Sites corporate social media as well. So anything you see coming out from us online is from her brain. So she'll be a great person to talk to you about social media today as well, and has lots of good things to share. And hopefully it'll keep it more interesting because you won't just listen to me talk the whole time. We'll have some other voices going on too. So thank you for being here with me, Brittany.
Yeah, I'm definitely so happy to be here with you all talking about social media. It's definitely a topic that I'm passionate about, and I think it's something that every practice can really benefit from. So I can't wait to dive in. I know we have a lot to talk about, so.
Awesome. All right. So as was mentioned last time, if you were with us, we covered three main things. We covered website best practices, we covered search engine optimization, and we covered paid advertising, which a lot of you probably know as Google Ads. These are the things that really make up the core structure of your online marketing. Now, today we're going to talk about the next three. We'll be talking about social media, something called NAP or local SEO, you'll understand in a little bit, and reputation management or reviews. So kind of a quick preview into those three things. If you remember our house illustration from last time, we're going to keep that going. So social media I would kind of encourage you to think about it as the windows that give people a little peek into what makes your practice so special. This is how you are going to create a community for your existing clients to keep their attention. It's also how you're going to bring in new clients, which Brittany has some great tips for that today. Then we're also going to talk about NAP, which goes by a lot of names. All you need to think about now is it's literally the address. It's your address, makes it easier for users to find you online and in person. Making sure that that is consistent is so important, and that is what we're going to talk about today. And then last but not least, we'll talk about reputation management or reviews, which can be thought about as the front yard. It's the things that make your online passersby say, wow, that looks really nice. I want to go inside that business, right? So more positive reviews is what's going to draw them in, make them want to be part of your community. Now, for those of you that already have that website that's following best practices, you've got really strong SEO, you have a company managing a Google Ads campaign that is just kicking butt right now, you're probably thinking, why do I even need to worry about these other things? So I want to share with you a few numbers to kind of make this all make sense. First, almost half of all Google searches online are looking for local information. This is where that local SEO that was mentioned earlier comes into play. We really are no longer a by referral only society. People really use these handy little tools that are in their pockets, right? Now, on top of that, 92%, so almost all of people searching, pick businesses on the first page of search results. There is an old marketing joke that Brittany and I really love that says, where is the best place to hide a dead body? The second page of Google search, because nobody goes there. So in one form or another, we really want your business showing up on that front page, because 88% of those searches for local businesses, when they're on a mobile device, they end up calling or visiting the business within the first 24 hours. So to recap, you have almost half of searches made for local businesses, which is you, where the overwhelming majority pick a business on the first page and interact with them in the first day. So how do you make sure that you're one of those businesses on the first page? Well, that's why we're here today. There are more than one way to show up on the front page of Google, and that is why we diversify. You're going to use those big players, Google, Facebook, Yelp, and others that we'll talk about today, to your advantage to make sure your business is easily found and hopefully in more than one place on that front page of search results. So now you kind of know why we want you to care about these three things that you probably don't hear about quite as often as what we talked about last time. And I'm going to pass it off to Brittany, who is going to kick us off with social media. So take it away, Brittany.
Thank you. Okay, so what is social media? Since you're sitting in on a marketing bootcamp today, you probably don't need me to get too much in detail with that. But just in case you're not aware, social media is the use of websites and applications like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, just to name a few. So sharing content to these networks really allow pet parents a peek into what you do and who you are as a practice. So you can think of social media as your opportunity to showcase all of the things that make your practice so special. So why does social media matter? Ensuring that your practice has a solid social media presence will really allow you to engage and interact with your clients in a truly positive way. So consumers utilize platforms like Facebook to refer businesses they trust and find businesses recommended by people they trust. And why do we know this works? 92% of consumers trust referrals from people they know. Better yet, when these referrals are made in a public forum like social media, you'll definitely know about it. This means that in the same ways that a client would use social media to refer someone to your practice, will also provide you with some insight to what clients are saying about your practice and their experience with you. So ultimately, this is how social can be used to attract new clients as well. And this is not something that veterinary practices regularly think of. And we find that most of our clients only use social media to interact with their existing client base, when actually there's a missed opportunity here if you're not also using social to garner new clients as well. A study done just this year found that after following a brand, 91% of consumers visited the brand's website and 89% will actually do business with them. So how can you take advantage of this opportunity? First, you're going to want to make sure that they can find you. Start with completing a social media audit. This means that you're going to claim any existing listings and pages for your business to make sure that you're in control. This means that your Facebook business page, LinkedIn company page, and even your Google My Business page. So keep in mind that this may may also mean that you need to set up some new accounts on these platforms in order to do so. But once claimed, you may need to make some changes to improve your existing profiles and correct inaccurate information. Most importantly, ensure the following items are complete and accurate: your name, address, phone number, website link, and hours. Ensuring your business information is accurate is a top priority because now you exist when a pet parent is looking for you. So now that they've found you, how do you want to make sure that they choose you? Well, you can start with discussing services that you offer and what to expect. Educate pet parents on health and awareness topics. Showcase your team's passion and knowledge in the field. You can especially benefit from offering promotions and other specials through social media that will both please your existing clients as well as attract some new ones. Ultimately, this results in an overall boost in business, which everybody loves. And although I know this next part is annoying, dealing with customer service issues online. Addressing feedback that comes up on these platforms builds client loyalty and really shows prospective clients that you address problems when they arise. So all of these items play a role in attracting new clients as they see your online community and knowledge that you have. If you're able to successfully present this culture and experience online, people will identify with your business and feel safe selecting you as their provider. Okay, so we've covered kind of a lot. We've covered why social media is important and how you can use it to garner some new business. But taking steps to plan your social media calendar in advance may be overwhelming to think about. Then add to the mix how to come up with posts on the fly when you're already busy with so much to juggle in the practice. You may also be thinking, I'm not great at social media, but maybe you have someone on the team who you think is perfect for the job. Great. You'll just need them to dedicate 1 to 5 hours per month to planning and strategizing your social media content posts for the month ahead. And I know this seems like a lot, but I don't want you to overthink it too much. It's really easier than you think. Just start with these first few things. Maybe your goals are, we want more people to know about us, or we want to generate new business. We want to fill jobs. And we want to hang on to clients with good customer service. So how do you do all of that? Well, that determines the strategy behind all of your content posts. One post might be to generate engagement, while another might be a special to attract some new clients. Another might be a patient feature to build client loyalty. And part of your time online might be spent responding to a message that contains some negative feedback. After a month, go back and evaluate, adjust your strategy where needed, just to make sure that your content is supporting all of your goals. Okay, so now that your strategy is in place, what can you do to make planning your posts less intimidating? We've got some tips for you. We are strong proponents of scheduling social posts as much as you can. We do it for our own social media platforms, as well as our clients whose social media we manage. And here's why. For one, it really helps determine the right mix of content that you're posting. It definitely saves you time in the long run, and seeing all of your content in one place really ensures that your posts are supporting all of your goals. So to begin doing this yourself, we suggest that you check out some free social media schedulers and managers. Some you may have heard of, like later.com. There's Unum, UNUM, or Hootsuite, which is probably a more popular option. If you're looking to level up, though, you can check out some other platforms that are paid platforms like Agorapulse that are just a little more robust. So while pre-scheduling is great for making social planning less intimidating, there's something to be said, though, for the live action posts. What about that cute puppy that just came in today? When these opportunities arise, don't overthink it. You'd be surprised how a simple post with a cute photo of a puppy and a simple caption can grab the user's attention, because people love animals. Pro tip, check with your marketing provider to see if they offer any supplemental posts that you can use. This can save you time and lessen the stress coming up with content on the fly. Okay, so let's recap it all. We've discussed how to create your social media strategy online and how to outline your goals, how to schedule your social posts for the month, but we still need some content. So let's get your wheels turning. What do you think your audience would respond to most? Here's a few topics we think you can begin with, starting with moments from behind the scenes, polls and surveys, education-based topics, big practice news, maybe a promotion or a success story, open positions in the practice, which interestingly enough, sharing a bit about your practice culture also may contribute to more quality talent inquiries. That may help to fill any open positions, but also sends a really positive message to potential clients. And also don't be afraid to repost. Use your associations and your groups as a resource. Many provide example posts and shareable graphics that can be used free of charge, such as ABMA infographics, DVM 360, and more. Tip, if you're starting from scratch completely, implement the 80-20 rule. This means that 80% of your posts will inform, educate, or entertain your audience, and 20% can directly promote your practice and services. I have a quick question for the rest of the ladies. Are there any posts that you've come across recently that you really liked or that kind of stood out to you, or any topics that you like to see?
Oh, that's a great question. Not quite sure why my camera wasn't working there for a second, but so I find that I am drawn to, like you had mentioned earlier, the posts that have video aspects to it, obviously. I think those of us that are used to seeing veterinary practices and pet lovers in our feeds, the still pictures are great, but again, the moving pictures, the videos, they really catch my attention.
Yeah.
I also like big, bold statements. So one of the things that I'm really drawn to is kind of that headline, and then being able to really look into the post after that headline that catches my attention.
Yeah.
I will add, my sister is a practice manager and they have kind of a treasure chest of props at their clinic. So for any of those kind of random holidays, that's like, I don't know, National Silly Hat Day or something like that, they have a treasure chest of props that they can use and do those live action photos.
Yes.
So then if their
That's
client,
so cute.
yeah, I was such a great idea. So they have them for a whole bunch, like even like chocolate milk for cats, like everything. If their client allows them, they'll then tag the client in there. And so that will also help generate some extra views on those pictures. But I love that idea. I wanted to share it.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Smart.
I was something you said, Casey, that I want to kind of mention really quick was the if the client allows them thing. So if we have any repeat viewers here who've watched some of my other webinars, and specifically the efficiency one, we talked about online forms, make an easy online media release that you can shoot a text to your clients with that form and get their approval right on the spot. If you don't already have it, that's a great application for those online forms. And then my favorite post that I've ever seen, ever, which just because it worked so well that I have to share, was it was literally just a prompt. It was super simple. It just said, spell your pet's name using only emojis in the comments. And the engagement, if any of you watching want to straight up steal that post, please do, because the engagement was incredible. The number of people trying to do it, see if they could do it. It was fun. I'm not even a client of that practice, and I was just reading through because I thought it was hilarious. So that's just kind of another fun one that I really like.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah. Those are adorable. Okay, well, I'm wrapping up. I just have one story that I wanted to share with you guys before I kick it back to you, Cassandra. So one of our favorite examples of the potential power that social media has to work with your website is what we like to call the Easter egg case study. So we have this client who came to us and basically said, hey, we've got a large community on Facebook. They just aren't really making use of our website as much as we would like. We've done a lot of work to add some great resources to our website, and many of them just don't know that they're there. So how can we fix this? So this is how the Easter egg hunt had came about. together, we built an Easter egg hunt that was set up to encourage their Facebook following to engage with the website. Eggs were strategically hidden throughout the website in places that they wanted clients to know existed. Each egg led to a service-based prize to encourage clinic visits. So 10% discounts, free heartworm tests, free nail trims, and more. I probably Cassandra has some more to include in that. Once the hunt was all set up, they posted to Facebook, and before and during the hunt, they then afterwards highlighted the clients who had won. So pretty cute concept. And the coolest part though is how well it worked. So the month that the hunt took place, they saw an 8-fold increase in traffic from Facebook to the website, which is insane. The hunt generated 463 total page views, which they're in a rural area, so that was really a lot for them. And the average session duration was 5+ minutes. That's a long time also in the internet world, where the average session duration is about 1 to 3 minutes. And lastly, the average page session was 9. So also a lot in the internet world, because usually the average is about 1 to 4. So there is no doubt that this is a powerful example of how social media really can harness, how you can really harness social media really to generate traffic to the website, leads, and therefore more business. So there are 2 more key tools that you can use online to help with marketing as well. So for that, I will pass it back to Cassandra.
Thank you, Brittany. It doesn't matter how many times I hear about the Easter egg hunt. I love it. I'm also going to add, this worked so well for them. Like Brittany said, they're in a rural area, so this made a big difference for them. They did it again the following year during Christmas time, and they did like a Christmas present hunt.
So
and
cute.
So instead it was like little gifts throughout the site. Again, if your website manager or provider is willing to do something like this, feel free to take the idea and use it in your own practice. Yep. It will likely work really well for you.
It's genius.
Yep. All right. So on to tool number 2. Brittany got the fun one. She got to talk about social media. I am going to talk to you guys about the complicated one, directories. So as I mentioned earlier, this is quite literally your address. It has a lot of names though. So it's referred to things like local SEO, directory listings, citations, and others. But really the main thing you need to know kind of at the core of directory listings and directory listing optimization is NAP. Excuse me. That's what I mentioned earlier. So this stands for name, address, and phone number, which is why I say it's literally your address. It's how people find you, connect with you correctly. For obvious reasons, you don't want this to be wrong. But let's back up a little bit and first talk about what they are. This information, the name, address, phone number, is held on these directory listings, Google My Business, Yelp, YP, but there are a lot more. So what really are they? When I say a lot more, I mean hundreds. But the concept is really straightforward. You can think of them as an online phone book. So these are platforms that hold and organize key information about your business into a format where users can easily search businesses by location, which is why it's sometimes referred to as local SEO. An extra hint is most social media platforms are also used as a directory listing, and many of these directory listings now also include some sort of review or rating element. So maybe it's starting to make sense why we're covering these 3 items together of social media, directory listings, and reviews. Some examples of directory listings that you probably recognize, I mentioned a couple already: Google My Business, Yelp, Bing, Apple Maps. So for those of you that have iPhone users, that app that you open up all the time, Facebook, and many, many more. Now, if you do a search of your business name online and you start scrolling down those listings, as you get further, you will probably start thinking to yourself, I did not create that profile. How did that even get there? This is where something called data aggregation comes into play. There are 3 main data aggregators in the US. I'm not going to say their names because it doesn't matter. It's not something that you need to know. All you need to know is that these are companies that sort and feed your information to all of these hundreds of local directories online. This is why, even though all you remember is probably setting up a Facebook page or a Google My Business page, now you're noticing you have listings on a random website that you've never heard of before, like City Search. Now, I don't really want to get into the technical aspects of this and how the data aggregators work, because really the only thing you need to know is make sure your information is correct with the big guys, and the data aggregators take care of the rest. They will push that everywhere else. Now, of course, there is a little more to this. So, for example, what you need to do if your NAP is a mess online because your business has been around forever, or how you can use these data aggregators to your advantage. But first, let's talk about why this matters, how this affects your marketing. So, first and foremost, it's literally what gets your clients in the door. Your user's ability to find you online and in person is completely dependent on this being correct. So when you need to drive to a business for the first time, how many of you, I can't see hands, but how many of you open your laptop, do a Google search, open the business's website, go to their contact page to get the address, copy paste that into MapQuest to print directions before you leave? Probably no hands, because that made me tired just thinking about it. What do we do instead? We pull out our phone, we do a search in Google or Apple Maps, or we might not even touch our phone and we just say, hey Siri, get me directions to Companion Animal Hospital in San Diego, right? So if your name, address, or phone number are incorrect, you risk inhibiting any of these actions from working smoothly. I, as a consumer, implicitly trust that my phone is taking me to the right place, right? And even though it might not be your fault that Google Maps sent me to the wrong place, I'm probably going to end up frustrated with the business, right? And that's not what we want. This is why these directory listings also directly affect your SEO. Search engines want to serve their serve their users with content that they know is reliable. How do they know if it's reliable? If it's consistent. So let's pretend that Google search engine crawlers have a thought process. Honestly, they might at this point. I don't really know. But if they did, what would that sound like? It would probably sound something like, oh, Cassandra just did a search for veterinarian near me. I have 150 businesses here on my list that are veterinarians within a reasonable distance of where she's located. This one looks good. Oh man, there's 5 different addresses listed for them though. One is 12817 Main Street. This one says street, but it's ST. This one has a suite 100 after it, and then this one's some totally other random number. I don't really want to confuse the user. Let me look at the next one. And just like that, you are not Google's top choice to present to a user anymore. This is why we want to keep it consistent down to the letter. So, what do you do about all this? I'm going to apologize for sounding like a broken record here, because I'm going to tell you the same thing Brittany did, but do an audit. Obviously, directory listings, as you saw, there are many, many more of those than there are social media platforms, which is why there are free tools online to check directory listing accuracy. If you Google that phrase, the whole first page of Google will be tools that you can use for this. You also do have the option to go the old school route. You can do a search for your business name and then search through the first few pages of listings, see what kind of contact information is out there for your business. As I mentioned earlier, if you're just starting off as a business and you make sure your information is correct from the get-go on those big players, the Google My Business, Facebook, Yelp, you'll be good to go, because the data aggregators are going to push your information out in time and it'll stay accurate across the board. But I am also willing to bet that many of those listening are not a brand new business just starting out with their online presence for the first time. You've probably been in business for 30 years or more. You've gone under a name change. You've gone under an ownership change. Maybe you've moved locations or any other number of things that can change in time. In those instances, relying completely on updating the listings through the data aggregators is really a long game. There's not any guarantee that they're going to pick up that new accurate information on their own in a timely manner. So how do you fix this? Well, there are a few accounts Brittany mentioned earlier that you would need to create a profile for. So if you don't already have a Google account, create the profile to manage your Google My Business page for those big players. What I don't want you doing is going and creating hundreds of accounts to correct all of the other listings. The easiest solution for this really is to find a company to do it for you. So companies like ours have tools and systems in place that make this a much more accurate and faster process. At Busy Sites, we call it directory listings optimization. Other companies may call it citation cleanup or local SEO. Using appropriate tools, we can take that information, update it on the big players for you, but also send that new accurate information directly to the data aggregators to have it pushed across all of those hundreds of directories right away that we talked about earlier. This really is probably one of the number one areas that I want to see you just rely on professionals to save that time for you. I really would hate if you guys were like sitting in bed at 11 o'clock at night on your laptop trying to create City Search and YP and Foursquare accounts trying to make sure everything is correct online. So use the tools that you have at your disposal to your advantage here. All right, so we made it through the complicated one with directory listings. Now we're going to go on to what is kind of the emotional one, the reputation management. So as we mentioned earlier, this is like the front yard. It makes people want to be part of your business, right? It's when they're kind of just doing that quick shopping and it attracts them to be part of your community. But what we need to remember is that reputation management includes more than just getting positive reviews. It also is how you deal with the negative ones, which is why I say this can be kind of the touchy topic. I know it is super exhausting worrying about these reviews, how to respond to each one, the good ones and the bad ones, how to get more positive ones. But really, this is a critical part of your business, of marketing your business online these days. So my goal with the next few tips is to really just reduce stress for you from this process and give you a really clear formula for how to do it and kind of take away the thinking and make it a little less worrisome every time you have to deal with it. But also by this point, you know that I'm not just going to tell you you have to care about something without giving you a reason why. So as much as we might not want to think about reputation management, this should be your reason why you do. Because almost all of your customers are reading reviews about local businesses to determine their quality. I know the review that the crazy lady left on your page, on your Yelp last week, has nothing to do with the level of medicine that you practice. But pet parents that are shopping around don't necessarily know that. And even more so, reviews are not actually just for how they make you look to those shopping pet parents anymore. They actually have an effect on your SEO now as well. So let's go back to thinking about that Google search engine bot that's thinking about what results to show a user that typed in veterinarian near me. Remember, Google is forever trying to please. They want to satisfy their users. They want to give them the results that they're looking for. So do you think Google wants to show you all the results filled with negative reviews, or do they prefer to provide results of businesses with positive reviews, which are presumably more trustworthy? The easy way to put this is Google trusts word of mouth marketing. Now, when Google's determining search engine results, there's three main factors that all the things they look at are grouped into: relevance, distance, and prominence. Relevance and distance, kind of obvious based on your business's type and locations. Prominence, however, is determined by popularity. So this is your review ratings, your website profile traffic, things like that. So the higher number of positive reviews you have, the more prominence you have, will differentiate you from the other businesses that are on the same par as you for relevance and distance to that person doing the search. That's kind of the base level explanation for how and why it affects your SEO. Additionally, reviews have actually become the biggest driver of clicks on local search results. It's actually been that improving your star rating by 1 star can increase revenue by 5%. So as much as we might not want to think about these things, instead of focusing on practicing good medicine, right? This is something that I want you guys to at least consider for your business. At the same time, I don't want you obsessing over it. So we're going to go over a few simple ways that you can manage it. So first, let's start with how to increase positive reviews. What I want to get out of the way right off the bat is what not to do, because I hear this floating around too often. Don't buy reviews. Don't write reviews for your own business. Don't have employees write reviews for your business if they are not a customer of your business. All of these things are against content policies for most review platforms, and they can end up with your reviews getting removed if they find out. The reason I mention this is because, unfortunately, I know there are some marketing companies in the space, in the veterinary space specifically, who encourage practices to do this. They'll say something like, tell your clients that they're going to get a Starbucks gift card if they leave you a positive review. This is not recommended because it can end up having all of your reviews removed, not just the one that was bought. And we don't want that. So what you can do instead is three main things. And ask your clients about their experience and if they're willing to write a review. It sounds basic, but you'd be really surprised how far this goes. Your clients, I'm sure, want to support a local business. This is why it's also important to train your team members to listen for those cues and how to ask for reviews. Your entire team is interacting with pet parents on a daily basis, right? So if they hear a client say something like, oh my gosh, we love you guys, you take such good care of Banjo, that really, Banjo's my dog's name, by the way, sorry, I always use him as my example. That should be a cue to ask for a review. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can sound something like, we're so happy to hear that. Have you ever written us a review online? Reviews are really important for the success of small businesses like ours, and we would really appreciate if you took a couple minutes to do so. Next, after doing that, you can sign up for a reputation management service. So these services are built specifically to help you increase your reviews online. There's many different types of these services, so you may even end up signing up for a couple because some send surveys to clients after their visit in an email and then ask for a review after they're submitted. Others are built right into the website. So I will give you a quick example of the reputation management service that we offer to kind of give you an idea of how a website one might work. We provide our clients with a counter card that goes just right on the reception desk when clients are checking out. It has a QR code on it that leads to a how did we do page. Once the client selects their rating, they are then asked to provide feedback either via a client feedback survey or a review online. Now, most importantly, when you do ask for a review online via your website or an email, give them options for platforms. Because you probably still have the client that has a Facebook account, but they don't have a Gmail account. And they're willing to write your review, but if you only ask for reviews on Google, you might not get one from that person, or vice versa. So giving options will help increase the likelihood that you get a review somewhere, right? All right, so we have the machine going to increase these positive reviews. So then how do we prevent the negative reviews? Really one simple thing, deal with the problem before it becomes a bad review. There's a few ways to do this. Sending out client surveys after each visit. So that's where one of those reputation management services that I talked about comes in. And if any client feedback surveys come back with negative feedback, address it as soon as you are able to. And then similar to how we trained them on the flip side, on this side, we also want to train employees to recognize signs that might lead to a negative review. So you want them to notice when a client is disgruntled when they're leaving and encourage them to address the issue right away when the client is still physically there with you. Addressing that concern, resolving that issue as much as you can while they are there will do wonders to turn around that experience. We don't have time to get into that in detail now, but if you are doubting me even at all, Google something called the peak end theory. It is really interesting. When I'm not marketing, I love psychology stuff. And what this theory and the studies that have been done about it show is really that the end of a client's experience will determine their overall feelings about it, even if we're only talking about the last 10 minutes of a 1-hour visit. So doing what you can at the tail end to try and recover will really do a lot to help prevent these bad reviews. Now, when the negative reviews do come in, and yes, we're saying when, not if, because sometimes they're not always avoidable. I want you guys to have a very clear checklist for what to do. So please, if you want to screenshot this, if you want to take a picture of it, if you want to ask Megan and she can send it to you when we're done, hang on to this as your checklist. Step 1, I want you to determine if it's a legitimate review. So if the review is inappropriate, if it's not about your business, if it has a conflict of interest, aka it's written by an angry ex-employee, I've seen a few clients go through that, it can be flagged for removal. On most review platforms, you flag a review by clicking the 3 little dots in the corner. You're going to click flag or report, whatever their word is, and it should be taken down. When you do this, definitely enlist your employees, your friends, your family, your marketing company to flag that review as well. We've had many times where a client will call or email panicking because they got their first bad review or their first fake bad review, and they don't know what to do to get it taken down. And I've sent, Brittany can attest to this, many a Slack message to my team saying, hey guys, here's a link to a review. Let's all flag it to help out our client and hopefully get it taken down faster. So don't be afraid to ask for help. All right, if it's a real review from a real upset client, the next thing you're gonna do is just take a really deep breath, maybe 10, maybe a few days, and then respond. You need to respond to the negative reviews, even if it's hard. Almost half of consumers are more likely to visit a business that responds to negative reviews because you're showing that you care. So if the review is legitimate, even if this is frustrating, take some time to distance yourself from any emotion around that situation and then write a response. You want to do it as soon as you can while still ensuring that your response isn't too emotional or volatile because you don't want to cause a larger issue with the client. So, what is your basic formula for responding to these reviews? You're going to thank them for their feedback. I know that's hard to do, but thank them for their time. Apologize, sympathize with their frustrations, take responsibility where you can, and then take the issue offline if further communication is needed. Your team is always going to be the best one to respond to these sorts of reviews. But also, this is an area to use your marketing company as a resource. They are a third party, they're unbiased, they can make sure that the response you've crafted is not too emotionally charged. So now that you've responded, what do you need to do next? Well, there's a quote that I really love. Learn to use criticism as fuel and you will never run out of energy. So once you're past that emotion of that negative review, do your best to look at the review with no bias involved and see if there is action you can take to solve the problem. So if maybe the review shed light on a recurring issue in the practice with a team member or a system or something else, and if it did, address that. And then last but not least, go back to the first thing we talked about and take steps to generate more positive reviews to bury that negative one with great feedback. Because you have to remember, we are playing a law of averages here. So the more positive reviews you have online, the more you'll outweigh the negative. This is the time to tap on the shoulders of the loyal clients that have been with you for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and still haven't left that positive review. Ask them if they're willing to leave a review. All right, we made it through all 3. So I do want to take a minute to really show you how all the tools we covered, the 3 we covered today and the 3 that were mentioned before, really can work together and create this amazing network when they're in full swing. So when you start with your website, which hopefully follows best practices for functionality and design and all these things, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, reach out to Megan or Casey and they will share with you a recording of part 1. So you've got your website in place, and that strong website should also include a strong SEO strategy. This means you're ranking somewhere on the front page for those highly searched keywords in your area, and you're taking up at least one spot of valuable real estate on that first page. On top of that strong SEO, you might have a marketing company that is running a killer ads campaign for you, probably Google Ads, So you're showing up at the top of those search results, and now you're taking up 2 spots on that front page. Then you add in directory listings, which are going to have accurate information because you're going to audit them, right? You're going to lead people to the correct website, that same website that's helping turn the visitors into paying clients. And you're going to show search engines that you have consistent information. And so you are a reliable source of information and further strengthen your SEO. And these directory listings, like Google My Business, will now be your 3rd valuable spot of real estate on that front page. Next, we have your social media pages, which are like an awesome triple threat because they are leading people to your website. You can run paid ads on them, and they serve as a directory listing. And better yet, having correct information across social media like Facebook and Google means that Google can match up your business profiles and then feature elements of your Facebook page directly on your Google My Business search results. So, hey, there's our 4th spot of valuable real estate on that front page of Google. And last but not least, we have reputation management. So this is happening on social media and directory listings nowadays. Really anywhere that users can review, recommend, leave a rating, anything like that. That strong reputation management leads to more prominence on social media and directory listings, and therefore further supports your SEO as we kind of peel these layers back, and eventually leads more people to your website and your business. So you can really see through all the lines, it's hard to give this a visual representation. The network is really what you'll see a lot of people in our space do, because it allows you to see how all of these really work together in multiple directions to support each other. And having that robust presence, taking into account all of these things, really creates this awesome marketing machine for your business that if it's set up right, you don't have to spend that much time thinking about. So hopefully, as you've seen in our conversation today and our conversation last month, if you were there, that when you break this down piece by piece, it's very attainable for any veterinary practice. We're not asking this to be your full-time or part-time job at all, because if you have the right people on your team spending just a few hours a month on it, and the right marketing agency kind of guiding you and supporting you in these efforts, you will really be able to have an online presence that reflects that quality of medicine that you are so proud that your team practices. So thank you for bearing with us today. I know we covered a lot. We took you through all the emotions and the technical and everything. So if you have questions, we are here to answer them.
Oh, this has been great, Cassandra, Brittany. Thank you guys so much. You did cover a lot. I mean, just sitting here, I have 3 pages of notes that I've taken. And I also know that you're going to give me your slide deck for me to go over too. So this has been a lot of information. I'm sure that there's going to be questions after the fact. Many people are going to be watching this recording after, right? So I'm sure that there's going to be questions that come up. So for those of you that are watching the recorded version, not live, please feel free to direct any of your questions to the email here. You can also send it to any of your Vertical Vet team members, your member resource advisors, myself, anybody on the VV team. We're happy to help. You guys, thank you so much. I really appreciated your time. This has been wonderful. Love having you on. Love Busy Sites for anyone out there who's looking at wanting to update their website, to have this great team working behind the scenes to keep your practices up front and center. Definitely reach out to Busy Sites. And again, huge shout out to BI for making this happen today. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you for
having
having
me.
Bye-bye.